I am a fan of the Monster Hunter series. Being introduced to the franchise in 2021 with Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch, I discovered a whole new world of gaming I was completely unaware of. With monsters ranging from Kappas and Panthers, to walking Dragon Ball Z references and flying comets, and with weapons galore ranging from your giant basic sword to a morphing axe capable of changing into an exploding sword. I enjoyed my time with Monster Hunter Rise and its expansion, Sunbreak, but I wanted more. More hunting, more locales, more weapons, and more monsters. From playing Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, Generations Ultimate, Monster Hunter World, and 3 Ultimate, there's one particular game that I believe every fan should experience at least once. That game being Monster Hunter Frontier Z Zenith. The game is not very hard to set up and with many guides and tutorials online with how to do so. But the reason I mentioned Frontier is because Monster Hunter's official Twitter account explicitly stated to prepare for Elder Dragons to appear in Monster Hunter Wild's expansion update Ascendance, showing off Kushala Daora and Lao Shan Lung, whom hasn't been seen in a decade with Generations Ultimate being its last appearance. And Monster Hunter Frontier has Elder Dragons in spades, and quite frankly some of my favorite Elder Dragons in the series as a whole. Today, I'm going to be talking about 3 Elder Dragons who I think have very strong chances of making their first mainline game appearance and being added to Ascendance's roster. And maybe, through this video, I'll be able to convince you to try out their source game and maybe get an idea of what these guys are actually like. The first Elder Dragon today is Rukadiora, an Elder Dragon capable of using magnetism to fight against any hunter foolish enough to come across it. Usually found in arid areas like the desert, or places that it deems a threat to its existence, like the Interceptor space, an area exclusive to Frontier. It's also always in constant competition with other desert inhabitants, like Tigrex, or Kushala Daora, which it's a relative of, Teostra, and Lunastra for habitation space. But, with its skillful use of its magnetism and dragon element, is never worse for wear, and usually sometimes comes out on top. Its magnetism can be quite frustrating to deal with though, as it's capable of pushing and pulling hunters at will, making any attempts to attack a lot more troubling as one unlucky pull or push can spell an end to a hunter. But, out of the 3 Elder Dragons that I'm going to be talking about today, I think Rukadiora is the easiest of them all, as its smaller size and very learnable attack patterns make it so that with just a little bit of patience, it becomes a lot more manageable. But to make it fit within the more modern landscape of Monster Hunter, especially with Wilds, we can add some moves that it has in Frontier's exclusive hardcore variant into its base form, like its ability to fire debris from the ground with its magnetism toward the hunter to make it a little bit more of a challenge. But we can also dilute the magnetism strength that it pushes and pulls with to fit within the more limited movement of Wilds. Overall, I think Rukadiora is a fun monster with a seldom used gimmick, really, because throughout Monster Hunter Frontier, magnetism rarely comes up and it's a little sad. But with a few more tweaks, I think it can definitely be a title update monster that can be fun for many, for sure. The next Elder we'll be mentioning is Shantian, a monster that maneuvers itself more like a Leviathan more than your typical Elder Dragon. And it also shares a lot of similarities with Amatsu as well, capable of summoning thunder and utilizing water from its tail to make slicing blades from seemingly nowhere. Shantian are part of a specific frontier-style hunt called a conquest hunt, where a monster will range from 4 levels, level 1 to level 9999, being very easy to requiring damn near perfection from the hunter. Its mere presence when angered can change the atmosphere from a calm, cloudy day to a raging tempest within seconds. Shantian are also fiercely territorial, fighting with anything it deems a threat to its natural habitat of the skies, including the airship where its fight takes place. Once taken to the second phase, Shantian will destroy the airship and leave you in a volcanic area where it will display its amazing ability to wield fire, water, and thunder all at once, otherwise known as the Tensho element. Once in this phase, Shantian becomes much faster, cloaking itself in quite literally fiery hot magma, and its attacks become much more chaotic and hard to evade. increasing its frequency of attacks, enabling to summon meteors and geysers of both fire and water. In its graceful and fierce nature, Shantian has always stood out to me as a monster that can have elements of other monsters in its kit, but still be unique enough to make it stand out. In all honesty, I can't think of anything more to say than Shantian fits perfectly within the area of Wild's expansion locale, the Skybound area, and I would love to see it make an official mainline debut as a Master of the Skies. And lastly, this Elder Dragon is a somewhat special case. It's devastating. Classifying it as just an Elder Dragon isn't enough. It's capable of burning, freezing, and tearing apart any monster or hunter in its wake. It's the only known enemy of the Shantian, fighting for domination of where this Elder currently resides. It's known as the Frozen Seraphim Dragon, the Vorse Feroa. The Vorse Feroa are believed to be close relatives of the Elatrion, with how their body structures and ability to wield multiple elements, in Vorse Feroa's case being ice, fire, and dragon, to a devastating fashion are very similar, but make no mistake, the Vorse Feroa are one to be feared even more so than the Elatrion. Vorse Feroa attacks with what is known as the Frozen Seraphim element, which infuses its attacks with fire, ice, and dragon all at once, similar to Shantian's Tensho element. It gives it even more masterful control of its elements than its relative, making its habitat the practically unhospitable and aptly named World's End locale. Vorse Feroa will attack any monster on sight, making it very aggressive and should be avoided at all costs. Hunting this Elder Dragon is part of the same conquest hunts that Shantian is a part of, with the same range of difficulty levels. However, with the higher difficulties, you'll be able to see more of what Vorse Feroa is truly capable of. Upon reaching the second phase of the fight, Vorse Feroa will let out a primal roar that commands control, and it will begin to fight even more ferociously, with attacks that can absolutely blind and overwhelm the player if not careful. It will also use its dragon element much more frequently within its attacks and speed blitz any hunter that is within its line of sight. But if the hunter is able to overcome even that, Vorse Feroa will display one of the more graceful death animations the franchise hasn't seen. It will freeze itself over as it loses control over its ice ability, allowing the hunter to carve from its frozen corpse. But at the highest conquest difficulty level, Vorse Feroa will take a page out of the humble Gypsyros's book and still freeze itself, but this is a ploy to lull hunters into carving. A few seconds later, it will break itself free, making its wings a more radiant and fiery purple, its scales becoming even more shiny and more reflective than you would ever think. It'll switch to using its fire ability more frequently and become much more resilient, earning itself the title only one other monster in the game has achieved, the Solstice War. There's little more to say than this monster is quite frankly incredible, and if this isn't a final boss kind of monster, especially for Ascendance, I'll be more than surprised if it doesn't make an appearance. Of course, though, it's just me as a fan just kind of wanting to see the best Elder Dragon that this little MMO has to offer, so I'm just throwing my penny into a wishing well, so to speak. But if you have any lingering interest on what Vorse Feroa is able to do, watch any video on it. I'm sure you'll be able to find one, especially at its level 9999 variant, so you can see what I see in this monster, and hopefully I can convince you to even play this game and fight it yourself, because truly, it's one of the most unique experiences you'll have as a Monster Hunter fan. And those are the 3 Elder Dragons I'd like to see make an appearance in Monster Hunter Wilds Ascendance. Surely, there's some more grounded options to choose from that aren't just from Frontiers like Yamazukami or Valstrax, but I just wanted to highlight some of my favorites, because Frontier as a whole has some of my favorite monster designs, period, especially since other monsters like Lavassioth and Espinoss have been able to make it outside of this decade-old MMO. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't even know Lavassioth is a Frontier's original monster. But In that case, it gives me hope that other potential monsters, not just elder dragons, can have a chance to make it back into the spotlight so others can appreciate them just as much as I do. Thanks for taking the time to listen to my rambling, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.